A cold wind scraped across the dusty railway platform as Eleanor stepped off the train, clutching the single suitcase that held everything she owned. Whispers followed her like prickling thorns, strangers staring at the faint streaks of gray in her dark hair. She had come all this way as a mail-order bride, answering a stranger's plea for companionship, hope glowing faintly in her chest. But when the rancher's foreman saw her, he frowned with visible disappointment. "Too old," he muttered, turning his eyes away. She forced a trembling smile, trying to ignore the sting. For years, life had reminded her she was late for everything: marriage, family, happiness. Now another dream was slipping away, and she feared this rejection would be the final blow. Her feet felt rooted to the ground. Her heart felt embarrassingly fragile. And she wondered if life still had a place for her at all. Minutes later, a tall, quiet man emerged from the dust, his boots soft against the earth. His name was Grant Avery, the rancher who had placed the ad for a bride months ago. He studied her face with gentle surprise, noticing the sadness she tried to hide. "What's wrong?" he asked softly, voice roughened by years of loneliness. Eleanor explained through trembling lips that his foreman had dismissed her and ordered her return on the next train. Grant's jaw tightened, eyes narrowing with something protective. He stepped closer, shoulders broad like shelter from a storm. "You came all this way," he murmured. The wind carried his words, warm and steady. And in that moment, she felt seen. Grant turned toward the foreman and spoke with a calm but stern authority that silenced everyone nearby. "I asked for a woman of character, not a child," he said. The foreman swallowed hard, muttering apologies under his breath. Eleanor blinked in shock, unsure if she deserved such defense. Grant turned back to her, voice softening like sunlight peeking through clouds. "If someone told you you're too old, they've never known real life." She felt her breath catch, ribs tightening around her heart. It had been years since anyone spoke kindly to her. His hand lifted her suitcase effortlessly, as though lifting a burden from her soul. He nodded toward the wagon waiting nearby. "Come on," he said gently. "At least stay a while." And for the first time that day, hope breathed again. The wagon wheels creaked over dry dirt roads as they rode toward the ranch, quiet settling between them like a comfortable blanket. Eleanor dared a glance at Grant, noticing warm brown eyes lined with stories. The ranch stretched endlessly under the burning sky, fences like ribs holding it all together. Horses grazed lazily, tails flicking away flies. She inhaled the scent of hay and pine, feeling strangely safe. "I didn't expect someone so," she paused, embarrassed. "Real?" Grant finished with a teasing smirk. She nodded shyly, cheeks warming. He smiled to himself, like a man who hadn't smiled in years. Their silence felt unspoken and curious, heavy with opportunities neither could name. When they reached the ranch house, Grant introduced her to his small staff, 2 ranch hands and a cook named Mabel. Mabel's eyes twinkled with curiosity, her smile wide enough to melt tension. Eleanor admired the place: white porch railing, rocking chair, flowers drying near the window. It was modest, but alive. "Looks like you've traveled miles," Mabel said warmly, handing Eleanor a cup of tea. Eleanor's fingers trembled around the ceramic, warmth seeping into cold bones. She whispered thanks, grateful for kindness. Grant watched quietly, leaning against a beam, arms folded. He wanted to make her feel welcome without hovering. He understood loneliness like an old injury. And now, seeing it in her, something in him stirred gently. Over the next few days, Eleanor settled into ranch life, helping Mabel bake bread, sweeping wide porches, and learning the rhythm of the land. Grant noticed how she worked with delicate care, every task like a prayer. One evening, they fed the horses together, the sun dipping behind rolling hills. She asked softly why he placed the ad for a bride. Grant hesitated, jaw tightening before he answered. "I've spent years taking care of this ranch," he said quietly. "It's full, but my life isn't." He confessed he'd been too shy, too busy, too wounded to seek love. She nodded, understanding every syllable. Their hearts were two worn fences leaning together in the wind. Yet whispers spread like wildfire. Some locals mocked Eleanor behind cupped hands, calling her expired goods or old stock. The cruel words stung like burrs hidden in tall grass. Eleanor tried to hide her hurt, smiling through pain, but Grant saw the sadness in her eyes. One afternoon, she overheard young women giggling about how Grant deserved someone younger. Tears blurred her vision. She wondered if she should leave, freeing him from judgment. She packed her suitcase quietly one night, heart aching with familiar resignation. But Grant found her on the porch, moonlight catching the tears sliding down her cheeks. His voice broke the silence gently. "Don't go." Grant took her suitcase and set it down firmly, his voice steady but soft. "This ranch doesn't run on gossip," he said. "And neither does my heart." Eleanor tried to protest, arguing she was too old, too worn, too unworthy. But Grant stepped closer, eyes burning with kindness. "Age doesn't steal beauty," he whispered. "It deepens it." His words shook something buried deep inside her, something she thought had died. He admitted he'd been lonely for far too long, longing not for youth, but companionship, understanding, warmth. The moon hung heavy above them, witnessing a promise forming silently between two bruised souls. Eleanor's breath shuddered. Her heart whispered yes. From that day, Grant worked to drown gossip with truth. He walked proudly beside Eleanor through town, introducing her with gentle pride. Slowly, judgment faded, people saw her kindness, her laughter, her unwavering strength. Children adored her stories, neighbors admired her baking, ranch hands respected her quiet courage. Grant watched with growing admiration. He noticed how she touched lives with tenderness, how she healed small wounds with big compassion. And every night, they shared quiet conversations on the porch, rocking gently in the evening breeze. Their connection deepened like roots seeking water. Eleanor realized she was blooming, not despite age, but because she survived it. One stormy night, tragedy struck. A horse panicked, breaking through a fence and injuring a ranch hand. Grant rushed into the chaos, rain hammering his hat. Eleanor followed, shouting instructions and calming frightened animals. Her presence steadied everyone. She bandaged wounds with trembling hands, keeping pressure on injuries while lightning flashed. Mabel later whispered, "We would have lost him without you." Eleanor's heart swelled, finally feeling needed. Grant watched her in awe, drenched and breathless. Rain ran down his face, maybe tears hiding among raindrops. In that moment, he saw not age, but strength. Not wrinkles, but wisdom. He knew he didn't just want her here, he needed her. As the storm passed and the ranch quieted, Grant took Eleanor's hand gently. Warmth radiated between their fingers, hearts beating unspoken confessions. "I asked for a bride," he murmured softly. "But what I really prayed for was someone who knew how to stay." Eleanor's throat tightened. She admitted she'd always wanted a family, a home,